An historic day for the city of Detroit, birthplace of the Motown sound and the U.S. auto industry, and now poised to become the largest bankrupt city in the nation's history. A federal judge today declared the city could proceed with its bankruptcy filing, clearing the way for sweeping changes to contracts and pension payouts to city workers and retirees, as well as potentially massive losses for the city's municipal bondholders. Scott Cohn is in Detroit. He joins us now with more on today's ruling and what could happen next in Motor City. So, Scott, boy, this was a landmark ruling. Tell us exactly what happened in court today, and what does Chapter 9 mean for Detroit?
Well, Susie, it is hugely significant for Detroit, but it's also significant across the country. That's why this ruling is such a big deal, not just because it's the biggest in U.S. history, but because of the implications, not just here in Detroit, but for cities, unions, pensioners, and municipal bond investors nationwide. Judge Stephen Rhodes, the U.S. bankruptcy judge who's presiding over this case, said that Detroit could get through restructuring some of its massive debt, saying that the path that the city is on now, piling up debt, cutting services, is not only unworkable but dangerous. He said the city needs help.
So what is he telling me? Well, sorry, we're going to take your pension, we're going to make you homeless, starve you out, and send you to a soup line? We're telling Judge Rhodes to go to hell.
Well, more specifically, the city's largest employee union almost immediately filed a notice of appeal, and there's talk about appealing this ruling all the way to the Supreme Court because of the potentially massive cuts in those pension benefits for some 20,000 retirees. But meantime, as that plays out, comes the long and hard work of restructuring the city's finances, some $18.5 billion in debt. That task of coming up with a so-called plan of adjustment falls to the state-appointed emergency manager, Kevin Orr, who says it's now time for everyone to work together.
Come forward with us. Take this opportunity, even in the process of litigation and appeals, to try to get at the sorely needed reform that this city has got to achieve so we can move forward into a new day.
The unions say the time for negotiating was before the bankruptcy filing, and the judge did say that Rhodes and the city did not negotiate in good faith, but nonetheless they said the filing itself was in good faith because the union refused to negotiate. Susie?
You know, Scott, you said that this Detroit situation has implications for other cities across the country, and you just did that fabulous series for us on broken cities. Are we likely to see more cities following the path of Detroit?
Well, they may not necessarily be filing bankruptcy. That's pretty drastic. But what it does is it really changes the dynamic now between cities and their unions. We talked about a couple weeks ago the massive pension obligations that so many cities face. They now have a path to try and clear out some of those obligations and possibly hold the threat of bankruptcy over the union's head. The dynamic has completely changed.
You know, Scott, the unions have been fighting these cuts understandably, but there's not any money to pay some of those pension benefits, and those funds have been underfunded. So where do the union members expect the money to come from when the city is broke, and what makes the union any different from a host of other creditors?
Well, the union says that the state is not insolvent and the state could be kicking in some money here. Indeed, Michigan Governor Rick Snyder said he wanted to wait to see how the bankruptcy process played out before he decided whether the state could give any aid to prop up its largest city. Now we know that, and we'll see if the state steps up.
Scott Cohn, thanks very much for your reporting all day today.